So, guys, it's Queen Pin and the Wingman. And somehow we both ended up wearing black today. I don't know what's going on, but we just managed to make this work. It wasn't planned. It really wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
So, but we're talking something really taboo. No, we're not talking about sex. No, no. Somebody was like, I'm hoping.
I'm in.
No, we're talking hygiene.
Ooh.
And one of the things is people don't really want to talk about this because it is a touchy subject. It's really a touchy subject. You know, and one of the things is because I think when most people think of hygiene, they think of, oh, just wash your body, wash your face, take a bath, shower. But there's so much more.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so much more. And one of the things I will honestly have to say is this is what we tend to notice, and most people brush it off. But this is one we tend to notice in people that are having a mental crisis. The first thing that gets ignored is hygiene.
Yeah.
And for women, it usually starts with the stopping something, whether it's stopping doing your hair.
Yeah.
Stopping putting on makeup.
Yeah.
Not going for your manicure, your pedicure that you normally used to go for.
Sure.
So these are things that, in other words, sometimes and we can broach it that way. Like, I may say, Rich, I noticed you're not going to the barber as much, or you're not going, you normally go and get your nails manicured. Why'd you stop doing that? Yeah. So not to one thing, and no, not saying that Rich has stopped doing any of this stuff, but it's just one, not to make people feel embarrassed, because if you say it a certain way, it's like the person automatically feels attacked.
Of course.
But this also gives a person a chance to open up to you and say, hey, I haven't had a chance, or things are really kind of getting me down. Now you know that it's more than a hygiene thing, or, hey, maybe their finances have changed.
Yeah.
Maybe finances have changed, and you can say, hey, girl, you know what? I'm going to get my nails done, or I'm going to get my hair done. Come along. I'll treat you, my treat. Let's go get your hair done. We'll, don't worry about it. I got you. But I think one of the things that has made it crazy, especially with social media, is, hey, did you see what so-and-so was wearing today? Or did you see that so-and-so had their head wrapped for the umpteenth time?
No makeup, same outfit.
So it's one of those things of, we have to broach it carefully. And like I said, when we're talking about hygiene, we're not necessarily talking about your basics, wash your hair, brush your teeth, wash your body, put on deodorant. I mean, these are things that basically everyone knows. But again, even for guys, if you see a guy that, hey, he's normally at the barbershop when you are, maybe you should check on him. Find out what's going on. Hey, or you may even say, guys kid, and I've learned this from my son. I don't know why guys do it more than women, because I think if women talk to each other like that, there would be a lot more fights. But you guys can kid with each other, and it's like, what's going on with that head, man?
Yeah.
But for women, we have to broach it differently. But you can say something like that. And I think part of it is knowing when to say something. Like, let's be real. When we got out of quarantine, everybody looked like a cave person. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
We all looked like nut burgers on a stick. People weren't going to the barbershop. People weren't going to hair salons, nail salons. We just weren't doing it.
Right.
So first thing we wanted to do was focus on the sunlight, and everybody came out looking like this,
Hmm.
you know? And it's like, you are more glad to see everyone than worry about whether their hair, nails, or everything was done. But
Sure.
after we started to get back together, it was like, hey, let's do this. Let's make sure everything is okay. And so one of the main focuses is saying, okay, I need to figure out where I am.
Mm.
And even for myself, it's I need to figure out where I am. I went through a point where I was battling myself and people really didn't recognize. People had no clue.
Mm.
Um and this is crazy for those that don't know, even while podcasting. So it didn't bother me because no one saw me up until Rich decided to drag me kicking and screaming out of the box. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Um, but it didn't bother me because no one could see me.
Yep.
But I had to realize, hey, you know what? You need to look at yourself more in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
You need to tend to, in other words, it's, and no one realized until somebody said to me, hey, are you okay? And I burst out in tears.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Amazing.
that friend just went and said, hey, you know what? We're going to go get our eyebrows done. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, we came here for you. She's like, if you don't sit in that chair
Right.
and get your eyebrows done, we're
Yeah.
going to fight. And it was like, okay, and I realized, and after that, it was one of those things of, and this is why I say check on your friends.
Yeah.
Because after that, I wanted to show people, it's like, look at my eyebrows. Don't they look
Yeah.
amazing? And that was where I was. And after then, things started picking up like, hey, I've got to, I can't not have my hair done if my eyebrows are looking
Of
good. I
course.
can't not
Momentum.
have,
Yep.
yeah. And everything starts to pick up. And you don't know how that one thing can cause a snowball
Of
effect.
course. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
causes a snowball effect.
Yeah. You got to also take an honest approach when getting involved with hygiene. I think I try to help men with it. And even in my program, and most people don't even want to talk about it, I goof around and say start at the top and work your way down. But I'm always telling people I work from the outside in. But when you start with hygiene, I say start inside, which is your mouth, your teeth for starters. If you can't afford to go to the dentist, you know what I mean? Maybe you should go to a university where they even can do something for you. But let's start somewhere where you're comfortable, because I think most men, I should say, or a lot of men, they aren't comfortable with their teeth. I think women, for the most part, definitely have stronger hygiene qualities, especially with the teeth. But a lot of times back to the head, because that's the one thing we're looking at the most, right? If your hair's disheveled or smells, if your eyebrows are out of whack, especially men, you got nose hair sticking out here or here, you're disheveled, like you got patches all over, you're not taking care of your skin. Those are, a lot of times that's laziness. I get a lot of, there's a fine line between being depressed and also being
And
lazy.
lazy.
Also,
And yeah.
yeah. And people don't want to maintain. Well, if you don't want to maintain, then simplify it. So, like me, say, if you don't like to go get your hair cut all the time, then shave it. I'm just saying, get your eyebrows done when you get your hair cut, right? Get a razor, do your nose and ears once a month. I don't care if you set an alarm. Just for starters, get your teeth going a little bit. And that's a great start. That's easy to
Right.
maintain. Don't do things that are going to go way over the top. Like if you all of a sudden decide, hey, I have to get a manicure and pedicure every time. I need to be spray tanned. I need to have perfect teeth now. I have to have a perfect hairstyle every day. And then you exhaust yourself financially or even emotionally. And I think that's what happens with people when they think of hygiene, even working out. Like I've always shaved my entire body since I was like a teenager. I just didn't like hair on my body. But a lot of guys like, Rich, I'm
Okay.
spending time shaving my whole body. Well, then get near, do it that way. Or you could go get waxed, let someone else do it. But me and you, we're going to talk more about that stuff. But I love what you're saying with hygiene, because I think too, I will hit my friends all the time and they get upset. Sometimes I'm like, listen, you're overweight. You're getting way overweight. I'm just telling you, you're 20, 30 over now. They're like, what the hell about, or that, or I'll be like, you got nose hair sticking out. I see them right now. We're eating lunch. When you shave, Do you not see your nose hairs? I presume you do. You know what I mean? You have to pay attention, especially I tell a lot of my colleagues or my clients, I'm like, if you're sitting across from a table from me and you got ear hair sticking out or nose hair, or, you know, you look like you either haven't shaved or you're not cleaning this up correctly and it's out of whack. You got shit looking inside of there. You may even have boogers in your head. Like, I'm not kidding. Or you got acne. No one's perfect, but you can tell somebody who's trying to take care of themselves and smell, man. I think what men and women really underestimate is how they smell, especially men.
Right.
And
Right.
how important it is to have clean hands, especially if you want to touch a woman, right? Or your feet. A lot of men think their feet, if they stink, they take their shoes out. I'm like, you know, your feet stink. You know, your toenails look gross. What are you doing? Like, what are you
Right.
doing?
And the other thing I think for women is, because I always say this weird, and for anyone that has children in the room, I always say it this way. Women have innies, men have outies.
Mm,
So one thing that you have to know is there are familiar, not so great smells,
mhm.
but there are smells when you're saying, okay, it's time for me to see someone.
Gotcha.
Because and women, honestly, if it is not to be gross, but if it's something that's really, really unfamiliar to you, I will say that
Mm,
definitely, even if you're talking to your primary care physician,
right.
say, hey, I kind of don't, this is something that's kind of foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be something as simple as a hormone change,
Sure.
or um, even finding out that there's a condition that may be starting that you may be able to stop.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just, don't just, oh my gosh, it'll go away.
Right. Yeah, for
So
sure.
for women, definitely check yourself, and especially at different stages, because one thing is, I will say this, we are one way in our young adult years, then when we get starting to get older, things change.
Mm-hmm.
Hormones change.
Mm,
So you have to know what's balancing out.
yeah.
But if you are concerned about it, like I said, again, women, we have innies. All of our
Mm,
stuff is on the inside, with the exception, of course, of, the top and bottom. You guys know what I mean, the T and the A. But for the most part, we have innies, so everything's inside. If you are that concerned, if it's that concerning to you,
right.
even even when you go to the bathroom, if there's an off smell when you're going to the bathroom and it's very concerning, talk to your doctor.
Absolutely. And most men won't
Talk
talk
to your
about their
doctor.
doctor. Yeah. Yeah. And men too. I think a lot of times back to, I'll just use men because you use women and I'll talk about women too. But like, with sweating, a lot of times their scent changes a lot of times. Could be, again, smoking too much, drinking too much, whatever they're eating. Even garlic, if you go too hard at anything, you start
Right.
to leak or you have a stench about you. And a lot of guys, and I see this, men and women, even at the gym, a lot of them either, a lot of women at the gym say put on a lot of creams that smell nicer and they go too far sometimes with it. Same with perfume. Same with men. Sometimes I think they let themselves go too long. They're not showering enough, or they'll only shower once a day, and they'll only like shower in the morning, then they work all day, they may go to the gym and then go to bed. And it's not just hygiene personally, it's what does your home smell like? I tell guys a lot of times, if you want a woman to come over and spend the night, what do your sheets smell like? And if your sheets stink, that's you stink. Your clothes, do they smell good or bad? Most likely if they smell bad, and I get they're not supposed to smell great throughout the entire day, but I can assure you my clothes still kind of smell like my cologne and they're still approachable. But and again, if you do physical labor, I'm not talking about that. If you're doing physical labor or you're a garbage man or things in that nature, that's a hardcore job. I get you're not going to smell great throughout your day. But what I'm saying is when you wake up, you want to be fresh. And hopefully when you go to bed, you want to be fresh. You want your clothes,
Right.
you want to smell approachable. And a lot of men, believe it or not, they don't even realize how unapproachable they are. When you walk up to them, even when they're drinking or smoking, or it's just too
And
excessive.
and that is the thing. Yeah, I will say this for anybody. Your skin is your largest organ.
Of course.
Your skin is your largest organ. And everybody thinks, okay, it's going to get rid of fluids by going to the bathroom. But a lot of it comes out, and it's not necessarily sweat.
Mm,
And actually, I learned this listening to kidney doctors,
wow.
but it will come out in your pores.
Yeah.
So this is why sometimes if you've been drinking heavy, the next day you really need to get up, take a shower, change your sheets,
Yeah.
because guess what? It's going to smell.
Yeah.
And for someone who constantly drinks, we're not talking about the alcoholic, but someone who constantly drinks, you're going to smell like whatever you drink.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. And there's, like we're talking about, there's so many different levels of hygiene. And I really like that you brought up helping others, because, sometimes if you can offend people, and I get it.
Right. And that's the thing, is you don't want to offend, because one thing is everybody's going to go, oh, not me. You're not
Yeah.
saying that about me.
Yeah.
And now you're possibly risking losing a friendship when you're just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
A problem could possibly not get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something larger, whether it's mental, physically medical, now it's going longer than it has to be because you didn't approach it better.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And you gotta take an honest approach again of you being consistent in simplifying things. I think a lot of times, I can't say that about women. Women are at a much higher level, but it's amazing how a lot of men kind of make fun of things women do or spend money on when they should actually be doing it. I think a lot of times it could be a manicure,
Right.
pedicure, spending more money getting their hair done. I'm just saying, maybe spending more money on maybe better shampoo, maybe conditioner, better soaps to smell better. Because, a lot of guys really underestimate how much time and effort a woman puts into looking the way they look, from their hair down to their eyebrows, down to their teeth, down to their perfumes, or whatever the case may be. They all love that a woman looks like that. But when it comes to them, they kind of just let themselves go a lot of times and just expect a woman to love them for who they are. But a lot of men are
Right.
single and miserable and don't realize why. And I tell a lot of them, because you stink. One of my most downloaded videos on YouTube is, why do men stink? And it's me hanging out of a shower curtain, like making a funny face. But a lot of men don't even know how to shower properly. I'd hate to say it. They
Right.
start, they
And that's
start
the
with
thing
soap, and they
is,
start with their ass. You start cleaning your body, and then you're coming up to the face. I'm like, you
okay,
understand?
here is one thing I will always tell people. If you do not have two washcloths,
Mm,
please do not start with the bottom up. Start with the top down.
exactly. Clean the bottom of your feet thoroughly, like those type of things. And you could, and a lot of times in the gym, I call it prison style with guys, because a lot of older gyms, even to this day, YMCA's, they just have where it's, I don't know if the women have it, there's just a row of showers. So you're showering with all these men.
No, we have stalls. We have like it's a
Yeah.
row, but it's stalls, like bathroom stalls. So
A lot of men's don't. A lot of old school gyms don't
oh
have that even to this day. So you're showering with dudes talking to them. A lot, like, I guess military, some of them are like that as well. Prison, some of them are like, you've seen them in movies. You're looking at the way the guys shower. I'm like, did you even shower? Like, you put some hand on your, you don't have a rag, which is fine, but the way you're showering, you maybe did you do your pit? Did you clean your feet? Like, people just really don't know how to maintain or clean themselves
right,
just
right.
properly.
And that is one of the things. Okay, so big help, guys, if you're looking for women. Please don't tell any woman that Queenpin has told you this, because do not get me canceled. But if you are looking for women, go to the beauty counter,
Mm,
go to the beauty supply, go to places like Sephora, Ulta, even at your local Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS, Target, there are beauty aisles.
mm-hmm.
Start asking questions.
Yep.
Ask questions about things like facial wash. What does this do?
Yeah.
Sunscreen, things that that she will have an expertise in. If you think she's cute and she is standing next to the Dove bar soap, pick up 2 packs and say, which one do you think smells better? Which one were you thinking
Exactly.
about getting? You know, or, you know, if you're in the perfume section, the cologne section, spray some on yourself, or spray some on the tester and say, which one do you think smells better?
Yes.
And okay, I will say, do not spray some on yourself and ask someone to smell you, especially not in this day and time for COVID reasons.
Mm,
But spray some on a tester. Ask them, you know, which one to you smells better.
yeah. Or go
It's
if you're
a conversation.
if you're interested in a woman, me and you've even talked about this, you go with the woman. Don't be embarrassed and just say, hey, what type of body cream do you use? What type of body lotions do you use? You don't have to smell like a woman. No one's telling you to do that. Also, when you go looking for cologne, you want to make sure that that person likes that cologne. The last thing you want to do is go buy a cologne that was an ex-husband or ex-boyfriend or somebody else that's going to bring up a bad memory. But at the same time, you don't want to get the same ones that someone else she loved. But my point being is, you go with this person to go try out these things and have fun doing it.
Right,
You want to get a
right.
different hairstyle? Go look at some images with whoever you're interested in just to collaborate. And even, you know, a lot of people underestimate just the detergents that you use on your clothes, and then you put cologne on those clothes. They may have a different type of stench. And just because one type of cologne works really well with your friend, he smells great in it, don't think that may smell great on you. So
Oh my
these are,
gosh, I have
you
had that
know,
experience. Yeah, so it's all about, again, here we go back to hormones. Your hormones, and I'm not just talking about men and women, but your hormones are different from your friend's hormones. My friend had these amazing, she wore it every day. It's like her
mhm,
signature scent. And I put this on and I smelled like horror with French fries and toe jam.
right.
So, and it was the same scent, but it was just
Yep.
like, oh, I can't wear that. You know, so you have to know what you're doing, you know, and the other thing is, if you're looking to do something, especially with a cream, there are places like Kiehl's that will
Yeah.
mix up things for you.
Yep.
You know, find an apothecary, find someplace, and guys, this is a great get to know you kind of activity. Take her to the apothecary, find out what kind of scents she loves,
Yeah.
have them mix up something. There's one in New York here on Astor Place
Yep.
where they actually will make a file for you of what they mix up, and
Mhm.
you get to name it, and it is your signature scent, and you can come in and order it, and then that way someone likes it, they can go into your file and they can look for it.
That's great advice. And you know what? Learn how to
But
get rid of things too. Like back
yeah,
to our closet. You got old shoes that may, even if they don't smell, they look bad. So
yeah,
you gotta understand, hygiene isn't just necessarily, hey, I'm spotless, right? But I can put a shirt on that looks disheveled. I'm gonna look out of whack, or I look smelly and dirty, even though I'm not. Shoes are the
right.
king of that. Get rid of your old shit, even if it doesn't smell bad. But you really, I think for the most part, you want to again look, especially if you're in business. If you're if you look dirty or unorganized, or you do have a certain smell about you, or your clothes again are really worn out, um, you really got to take an honest approach. Bald guys, I talk about it all the time. A lot of guys, and I have friends right now, two of them afraid to shave their head. I get it, but it's starting to look like Brussels sprouts here. They're balding. And I said, listen, you got to get rid of it. And you got to tighten it up, because you're not getting a toupee and you're not going to get plugs, right? You're not, I mean, let's call it for what it is. You're probably
Well,
not going to
okay,
do
I
that.
will say this so that guys really will understand. Women find bald men sexy. Like,
Yeah.
we really, for those that are like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my hair. First of all, we can always tell when you kind of have a toupee on. So, but we actually, for us, I guess for guys it's different, but for us, it's a note of being distinguished. So we think that bald guys are sexy. I mean, think about it. We've got Idris Elba, we've got Vin Diesel, you've got John Stratham, you've got, you know,
Yeah. You got The Rock, you
everybody's
got
going
Bruce
bald.
Willis, you got them all. Yeah. You got tons of dudes. You got Jordan, you
And
got
women
tons of
are
them. Yeah.
throwing themselves at these men. Like, come on.
Yeah, men get afraid of losing that identity. They also, if they're white, I'll just use for example, they're afraid they're too pale, which they are. Well, then get some sun, you know what I mean? Get some tanning lotion. You just put it on your head, tan up. You
Oh
don't want
my
to have a
gosh. Yes. So here is one thing that I actually did see the other day on 90 Day Fiance.
hmm,
There is a difference between tanning lotion and bronzer.
mm-hmm.
Most bronzers, gentlemen, most bronzers are glittery. So if you are not looking to have a shiny, iridescent, Princess Penelope head, please do not put a bronzer on. Look for a tanner.
Yes, I do a whole video on that. That's one of my most downloaded videos ever. Is me teaching
Really?
people on how to use self tanning, which is I did it in my bathroom one morning. I think for me it's like 7,000 views already, which is pretty whack for me. But like people don't even know how to put on self tanner correctly. They either put on too much, not enough. They don't know how to clean properly when not using it. If you don't use gloves, I don't even talk about gloves in it, even though some people are like, why, Rich, why didn't you bring up gloves?
Right.
I'm like, how many? It was mainly for men, but women too. But how many guys are going to keep putting on gloves every time they're putting on? It's kind of unrealistic.
Right. But okay, and here is one thing for my people of color, whether you be Latino, Black, Arab, Muslim, whatever, we need sunscreen.
Yes. 100%.
I will tell you this, I learned this the hard way, the hardest way. I
Mm-hmm.
got sunburn.
Mm-hmm.
I got sunburn and I didn't know that I had sunburn.
Right.
I got into the shower and screamed bloody murder.
Yeah. That happened to a lot of
So,
my tennis buddies that were black or even light skinned, not all dark. It doesn't matter. A lot of them, especially in Chicago, we'd have the sun would come out. We'd all go play tennis for 7, 8 hours. They'd all be burnt and they underestimated their pigmentation, I guess. Was that correct? The pigmentation, like they just thought they can handle
yes,
anything.
yes, the melanin, the pigmentation,
Yeah,
it's just, and I think that is one very large misconception
yeah,
that the thought is, okay, well, I am a certain complexion, I don't need.
sure.
You may not need a lot, but yes, you still need sun protection.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, sunscreen is a huge, huge thing. I learned that at a very young age. I was like 12 when I got my first sunburn. And my mother insisted that was the Puerto Rican side until she got sunburned and then realized that it was not the Puerto Rican side.
It's funny how they blame the other side sometimes. You know what I mean? They take credit when they want and they blame the other side at other times. Oh my goodness, is that funny? But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. Follow the woman, the lead of the woman most of the time with hygiene. I'm not saying they're all perfect by any means, but I definitely think they're more
Right.
consistent. They put more time into it. And I think a lot of men, it's funny you bring up like going to the doctors. Most men, I think statistically after the age of 40 or 45, 50, they only go to the doctor like once a decade. It's something crazy. Most men after 50 just kind of give it up. They don't go to the doctor, where I think a lot of women are more consistent with that. So they pay more attention to a lot of those things, those changes going on, where men are like, oh, I smell like this now. I'm getting old. I'm like kind of giving up. I look like this. My teeth are rotting. Who cares? I'm old, right? All these kind of things where I don't see that with
And
women. I think
yeah,
women
and
want to
it's
maintain themselves at a higher level as they age. They take more
right.
care of their hair. They're at the salon more, not fitness necessarily, but as far as hair, eyebrows, makeup, and things. As they get older, I think they even concentrate on that a little more to look better.
Right. And I think that's really what it is we do pay, but in other words, women also, there is a lot that we have to do. And remembering that again, for us, we have inside things. So for us, it's a lot of hormonal changes. It's a
Yeah.
lot of changes happening on the inside. So yeah, knowing that, okay, that unpleasant thing, because one of the craziest things that happened, believe it or not, was when my mom first got diagnosed with kidney failure.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that kidney failure actually has a smell.
Wow.
And Kidney failure actually, if you're not careful, for those that don't drink, actually smells like you're a raging alcoholic.
Mm,
So, and I would smell the smell, and I was doing the laundry, and I'm like, why is it every load that has her clothes and it smells like she's an alcoholic?
mm,
And that's when I started talking to kidney doctors and finding
yeah,
out there are hormones and things that are releasing through
right.
the skin because the kidneys are not filtering the way they should filter.
Yeah,
So this is why I say, in other words, if you're experiencing something that's not quite right,
yeah,
definitely speak to a doctor. If you notice a friend that is doing that and you know, like, okay, well, they're not a drinker,
yeah,
there's something a little off, just kind of find a way to broach the subject. Don't necessarily, it's not about embarrassment. It's not about putting
yeah.
them on Front Street. It's not about, but in other words, yeah, um,
It could be
start a conversation.
yeah, it could be a mole. It could be like I got a wacky new bump on my neck. I got to have checked out. But if your friend doesn't know you got a mole in the back, or you're starting to see something wrong with the skin, you're not doing it to be hurtful. You're like, hey, did you know? I don't know if you realize this. I saw back of your head. You got a spot coming up.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? Like my friend even had ended up getting skin cancer at a very young age, and he was shocked. And he's like asking me, I'm like, why don't you just go see a specialist? And he was going to blow it off. Thank God he went and had it removed. And then from there, he had to change he's in his 30s with skin cancer, and he had to change up everything. And then he had to go to a specialist every year to make sure he doesn't get it. And he was getting it in different small parts of his body. But it was just a conversation we had. And the next thing you know, he's at a specialist. The next thing he's having surgery. You're there to help. You're not always there to help, but a lot of people don't have the balls to tell someone else, especially men, I should say. I think women are a little more open to say, hey, my dear, something, did you try this, or you should do this?
Right. Right.
Men are like, just, oh, you got that. Don't worry about it. Who cares? No, pay attention to those things.
Right. And it's a matter of, even, a lot of times it's like, well, walk it off, like, that was
Yeah,
my
go
father's famous words, like,
get a
walk it
facial.
off.
Yeah, but get a facial. It's real simple a lot of times too. It's like something small, $60. Go get a facial. They'll look at your skin, ask them some questions. What type of, you know what I mean? What type of skincare should I be using? Don't get ripped off.
Right,
Also,
right. And
right,
and
what's
and
gonna
that
work?
that was that, yeah. That, because even for those of you that are saying, okay, well, I don't necessarily want to necessarily go to the doctor. If it's something with your skin, you can definitely ask the esthetician at the makeup counter, like, get them to do a makeover on you where they're doing your face. They have to be well versed in these things.
Mhm.
Even if it's something in your scalp, ladies, your hair. I just recently found out that hairdressers have to know about the nerves in your head.
Yes, they do.
So if you're saying, oh, well, this is kind of a little bit tender, or this is, or I noticed that I have a black spot, it doesn't really hurt, or blah, blah, blah. In other words, they're taking a look at your scalp. They will tell you, hey, you know what? I think maybe you do need to see someone.
Yes.
Have those
Yes.
conversations.
Yeah.
Have those, and yes, there are those that are hypochondriacs, and
Hmm.
Lord knows, if you look on Google, it will have you thinking that something's going wrong every 50 seconds.
Right.
But,
Yeah. And you don't
but
have to spend a ton of money doing a lot of things. Again,
right,
you can't afford a facial. Go to the school of massage and facials. They're really cheap. We discuss this all the time. If you can't afford a specialist in anything, you can maybe find somebody for a lot more affordable one way or another. So yeah.
right. And that is one thing, is that also you know, right now there are so many programs out there because of the pandemic that will help.
Yeah.
So even if you're saying, hey, I can't afford it right now,
Mhm.
see, go to your local public clinic or whatever and say, hey, do you know of any programs that are doing, because I think Medicaid here pays for acupuncture.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
So these are things that you can get. So, or if you go to a reflexologist, someone, these people know things and they can tell you. So
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to, but there are ways of, taking care of yourself and making sure that you are on point and on cue. And again, it's also about checking on your friends, because sometimes it's not oh, well, oh my gosh, that person just smells bad, or oh my gosh, their hair is crazy, or well, why are they dressed like that for the umpteenth time of, this month? In other words, find out what's going on, have the conversation, do the check, and I say this because, unfortunately, for those that don't know, I just recently lost a very good friend who we did not know was having a mental issue.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she was going through it and coping with opioids. We did not know,
Yeah.
but
Oof.
no one was making that call. So
Yeah.
please
Yeah.
check with your friends, make sure they're good. If
Yep.
you notice something's out of place with them, don't embarrass, but ask the question.
Yep. Pay attention to them and your body. You only get one of
Yeah.
them. You only get one body. So definitely pay
Yes,
attention to others. You
definitely.
want to help them with their body, and pay attention to your own.
Attention
Don't
to
neglect
yours.
either.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
All right.
guys, Rich, do you have anything to say?
I got nothing left, girlfriend. I mean, we could go on forever about hygiene, but I think we covered it all pretty well.
We definitely covered it all. So, guys, this is Queen Pin and the Wingman, 100% authentic. And, guys, pay attention to yourselves.
Yep. Don't think it's like I think people too, a lot of men, they think if they're paying attention to themselves, it's kind of corny, or it's egotistical, or I don't know what the hell they think.
Yeah,
Take care of
well, okay, I will
your
say this.
body.
I was raised, like my mother right now, if she saw me, she'd be like, "Why are you always putting on makeup? You're being so vain."
Mm,
But yeah, it's a matter of, it's not always vanity. It's just knowing what you're doing.
exactly. If you want to look better, look better. You want to feel better. If looking better makes you feel better, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, and
And
this is the weird thing, is this is the same woman that taught me to wear like lingerie under my regular clothes so I would have a great day. So
well, I
I
think
don't
too,
know.
when you get in a relationship, especially married, when one wants to kind of lose weight or look better or start changing up some of their hygiene, like it's like they're cheating or they're doing something disrespectful. But the truth is, you got to take care of yourself. That's it, especially as you age.
Right.
You want to be more physical. You want to look better as you age. You want to take care of, you got to take better care of yourself as you age. So don't put it on anybody else to do that but yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. So guys, that's it.
All right.